And I'm like, I suggest we do whatever it takes to not have me team with him anymore. And we came up with a losing team splits up match. I'll tell you what, I can't recall the dates or the shows, but I'll tell you, I had a lot of really fun matches with Gary and Anthony with the Pitbulls. We did a couple double dog collar matches that were tremendous with those guys. One in the arena was really good. There was an angle that we shot one time where we came out and hit the ring, and we attacked them with their chains. And I remember I laid Anthony out with his chain, and he bled so bad. I mean, it was like literally like with a river running down his head. I mean, he was so, and I was beating him with the chains. Those guys, I'll tell you what, I don't ever recall having a bad match with Gary and Anthony. I thought that, and now that I'm thinking about it, I really have never said this too much. When people ask me who are my favorite people to wrestle in ECW, it always slipped my mind how much fun I had wrestling with the Pitbulls because, we always had good chemistry together. We all got along well. We had good matches. And it's not oddly enough, but, just to prove that point, in like 1998 when I helped start Maryland Championship Wrestling, I always booked the Pitbulls down here too at MCW because, they were a couple guys that I thought, were cool dudes, and did their job, and they looked like wrestlers. So I really enjoyed working with Gary and Anthony. I mean, hey Gary, I hope those hot dogs are good. By the way, I'll take one with ketchup and relish, brother. So, those guys were. I really enjoyed wrestling with the Pitbulls. Always, never had a bad match with them.
Now, after that, when you and Ian split up, you had a really brutal feud. The culmination of that was the TaiPai Death Match. Whose idea was that, and what are some of your memories of that match?
I think. Well, the first thing, the thing that got me about it was when we started the program together, the feud. Our very first match, Ian, I beat the piss out of him, and he pinned me with a screw job finish. And then our second match out of nowhere was a barbed wire baseball bat match. And I'm gonna tell you why that was. Because the main event advertised for the show was Sandman against a mystery opponent, and they sold no tickets. And that was actually the night that Terry Funk came back, which came to known as Return of the Funker. But no one knew it, so no one was buying tickets. They announced the barbed wire baseball bat match. The place was packed. The TaiPai Death Match was just we were well, what can we do? I mean, we let's do something really just, stupid different, And Ian, I think came with the idea of. I think it came from a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie. I think it was from Bloodsport or something, where they had some karate match over there, one of those underground tournaments where the guys put glass on their hands. I'm like, hey, I don't care. I'll do it. You know what I mean? And here's the thing about those things. Like those barbed wire baseball bat matches, those TaiPai Death matches, and all that stuff, there was no video for us to look at and say, oh, that's how you do it. We wrote that script. We invented that's how you do it because we were the first guys to ever do it. So it was I've seen it now, people doing the glass matches and the barbed wire bat matches, and I just kind of laugh because it's it's I'm your father, it's you guys, you're all just my kids. You don't really understand how you're doing it, and you're not doing a good job, I always would tell people that I trained, and I would still say it this day. I'd say, when you're as good as I am now, I'll be better, because I always, I continue to learn. And, those matches, like the TaiPai Death Match, I go back and I watch it, and I watch how, if you watch that match, it's a wrestling match with a lot of blood in it. I mean, I let, your hero Axl gets the shit kicked out of him most of the time, and he makes his triumphant comeback and wins, and the fans go crazy. That's what it was. I mean, it was the same thing as any other match, except we had fists with glass on our fists, and there was a lot of blood. But at that time, no one had seen such stuff. So, you watch the photographers around ringside, the international press, and everyone else was going crazy because they had never seen anything that nuts. So, it was, and I'll say this, what is it now, 2010, all right? And we're still talking about a match that happened 15 years ago. That's how much that match has meant to the lore and to the history of ECW. Is to this day, people still will talk about that match. People will take the videotape and the DVD of that match and show their friend, show their son, and then now a whole new generation of people are like asking me questions about that match because it had that much significance. And, that's why when, I would take ridicule from people of, Axl Rotten, he's just a blood and guts guy. He doesn't know how to wrestle. He doesn't know this. He doesn't know that. And I would just say, take a name out of just throw out a wrestler's name. I don't know. Let's say, Billy Jack Haynes. No, I'm not saying nothing bad about Billy Jack. I'm just saying what I want you to do is name me one good Billy Jack Haynes match from 1995 right now. You can't. But I want you to say, what's your favorite Axl Rotten match from 1995? TaiPai Death Match, barbed wire. You remember that stuff. So I was making a little bit of history. So for all those people that were telling me for all those years I didn't know what I was doing and I was no good at what I was doing, they're still talking about me, So obviously I knew what I was doing.
Yeah, well, I actually watched that match the other day. Now, right around the time that TaiPai was about to debut ECW, the WWE version of ECW, you were listed on the roster. I believe you were signed and never wrestled, and soon after that you were released.
Yeah,
what was the reasoning behind that?
I was one of the first, 5 or 6 guys brought in. And I signed the WWE contract. I had it, inked and signed, 3-year deal, whatever. And, I collected probably about, $10,000, $15,000 worth of money from those guys. They were sending me a check every week. But when it came time to come do it, I was really indifferent about it because I knew in my mind it was going to suck. And I had a lot of serious problems, in my personal life, with, dealing with drugs and things like that. So wrestling, for WWE wasn't high on my list of things to do, so I just didn't show up. I just chose not to go. And that's the hot and the cold of that entire story. I mean, there's no big he got fired for this or he did. No, I just didn't go. I decided one day that they needed me for Monday Night Raw in Pittsburgh, and I decided I'd rather be somewhere else doing something else, and I didn't show up. And that's it. And that's the truth of it. Do I wish I would have shown up? Probably now. Sure, why not? Because I could have probably collected another, couple $100,000. But, back then my priorities were strictly, me doing what I wanted to do and had nothing. Really, wrestling wasn't a part of that at the time.
Mm-hmm. Now, of course, while this was going on, they just recently shut the ECW brand down, and a lot of people were happy that they just let it, die out. Not die out, but you know what I mean, just kind of sit on the back burner and them not destroy it anymore. And now TNA, of course, is going to be doing the Hardcore Justice pay-per-view on August 8th. Is there any chance fans might see you a part of that, or have you been contacted?
Is there any chance? Well, I mean, I guess... let's see, it's called Hardcore Justice, right? And it's a tribute to ECW. I guess there's a chance I'm going to be on it. There's a chance I may have talked to Terry Taylor on the phone today. There's a chance that, I could have talked to Tommy Dreamer about it. There's a chance all these things are possible. Do I know this for sure? Yeah, I do, but I'm not telling you. Because the TNA website will tell you more names are going to be announced as they want to. But just put it to you like this: it's a tribute to ECW. I was a big part of ECW, and if asked to do it, of course I would do it. And I would love to. And it's because, if you think about all the things that go on in the wrestling business, isn't it strange how this band of, misfit, weren't good enough for anybody else, or too old for everybody else, or too fat, or too young, or too old guys from a little bingo hall in Philadelphia created such a nasty stain on the wrestling business that some 15 to 20 years later, the fans still yell for us, and they beg for ECW to please come and save the wrestling business again. That's all they're doing. The fans are asking us to do what we did in the mid-90s one more time. They're saying Tommy Dreamer, Sabu, Raven, Sandman, Axl Rotten, Shane Douglas, Balls Mahoney, New Jack, please come save us again, because what we have right now is what we don't want. And, the fans have spoken. The fans have spoken to the tune of WWE was forced to do an ECW pay-per-view. TNA is doing an ECW pay-per-view. Do you think that if ECW were managed correctly, ECW would be the #1 wrestling company in the world today, because still the fans can't get enough of what we did? So on August 8th, all I will say to the fans out there, I would order the pay-per-view if I were you, because if you want to have a little bit of nostalgia as to what ECW was about, this is a great time to do it. And if, you never got a chance to see the original ECW in its inception, this will probably be the closest that you're going to get to seeing it, is August 8th on pay-per-view at Hardcore Justice. And I would definitely suggest that if you have the opportunity to order that pay-per-view, because if I know what I know about the way I feel, about the way I want to be represented as an ECW original and or legend, when the time comes, I'm going to go out there and give the people everything that I can. And I know Tommy Dreamer is going to do the same thing. I know Sandman, Sabu, and anyone else that's affiliated, Raven, Stevie Richards, I know they will all do the same thing. Bubba, Devon, because the love that we have for ECW in our hearts, no matter where you may go, if you went to WWE, if you went to TNA, when you put that certain group of guys together, there's something that happens. And on August 8th, I have a feeling that, once again, the planets are going to align one more time, and we're going to give the people something that they're really going to be talking about for a long time to come.
Now, of course, TNA is trying to do it. You said WWE even did it. Now, while ECW was still around, there was a company on the West Coast called Extreme Pro Wrestling, run by Rob Black, who tried to do it, on the West Coast, and eventually ended up trying to take over your guys' arena. What are your memories of working for Rob Black?
Well, it was a weird time, because ECW still existed in a little bit of a way, but at the time, I was let go. Candido was fired at the time. Shane Douglas, we were all over there working for Rob, and it was very weird, because I'm in the locker room and walking around, I'm seeing Ron Jeremy and Amber Lynn and porno stars that I remember watching when I was a kid, and I'm like, well, this is strange, isn't it? There's porn stars hanging out in the wrestling show. XPW was interesting, and it probably could have been bigger, but Rob Black just wasn't the guy to do it. He just wanted to be a star, and his ego wouldn't allow him to put on shows, for the fans, more so to put on shows for himself, to get himself over. And it was a good time, as far as good times go, but it could have been a lot better for wrestling. But it was hanging out in LA with porn stars and stuff was fun, rock stars, porn stars, whatever. We had a good time, but the wrestling itself, could have been a lot better if it had been given an opportunity to have some sort of direct creative control, which it wasn't.